Well, what's up, everyone? It is, what's today? Wednesday, May 15th, and this is Raphael Garcia back for episode 20, finally, of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. As usual, thank you for taking your time to listen to our content today. As always, you can find us at MMA on, obviously, Instagram and Twitter. You can always go to MMAratings.net to rate the fights. I'm hopefully going to talk to Michael about getting uh, some professional wrestling ratings on the website as well too. I think that's going to take a little bit longer, and that's going to be a bigger conversation. But along with that, I just wanted to thank you all for taking the time to listen to our content. Please be sure to like and share everything that we have on our YouTube channel and the site. You can, as always, hit the subscribe button to see when we have new content. I usually produce the show on Wednesdays, and Shawan and I get together for the MMA Ratings podcast on Thursdays evening. Going to be a slight shift in scheduling as well because my schedule has changed a little bit. So this show will probably be later on Wednesdays, and the MMA podcast will probably be earlier on Thursdays. That's the plan at least, but we haven't kind of hashed that piece out. So keep an eye out for that. And you can always find me at RRC_sports on Twitter to find my ridiculous ramblings about everything from shit like what's going on in Alabama to NBA draft, professional wrestling, and of course mixed martial arts. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into what we have to talk about today. We have a couple of different topics. Let me get my glasses completely. I can't see. We have a couple of different topics to talk about today. Actually, no, that was a lie. We only have one. And I'm going to be talking about the situation going down with Lars Sullivan today. This is something that is, I know I don't want to say it's old news already, but it's still a topic that I think I wanted to address because it's very interesting to me. And then going to look back a little bit to the match between Dragon Lee and Ishimori on Monday, or was that Tuesday? I believe it. I believe that match was on Monday, but they have Best of Super Juniors matches all this week. I'm still trying to play catch up because obviously I'm not watching professional wrestling at 5 a.m. in the morning, so I had to kind of catch up on that throughout the weekend too as well. But I just wanted to touch upon that match too. But um, let me grab a sip of tea and let's jump into this Lars Silver situation because I got a lot to say about that matter. So let's go ahead and break this down because we know who we. I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably heard about what's going on with Lars at some point over the last week. He is set for a big monster push in the WWE. I'm not even sure what fucking brand he's supposed to be. I think he's on SmackDown, but he has the look and the feel that Vince McMahon loves, and they usually push these type of guys to the top. You're gonna get something similar to what Braun Strowman got when he first came into um, the main roster and broke off from the Wyatt family. But with that in mind, there's this situation that he's been in is pretty pretty ridiculous and on multiple levels because what has occurred, I believe it was found on Reddit that someone did some deep did some digging and found some old forum posts he made back on bodybuilder.com, which is a site I'm pretty familiar with. And it's forum posts that are pretty misogynistic, racist, and homophobic down to a T. I'm going to read some of those off, but it was nearly 10 years ago, even before he became a professional wrestler, that he made these posts. And you can go to, there's a piece in Sports Illustrated by Dan Gartman that has all the posts there word for word. And I'm just going to kind of read out the three that jumped out to me. Was The first one was when he was talking in reference to Muslims and Islam, Lars Sullivan's post was, "They, being Muslims, should all be demonized for their religion. They are violent and have a violent agenda against America." So that's strike number one. Strike number two was his post in reference to some, basically, his post is word for word, not to be racist, but it seems like white people are more willing to take responsibility for their own lives than blacks and Hispanics, who are all for government handouts. That was one of that was the second comment that jumped out to me. The third one was in reference to Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, both guys who were on the SmackDown there. And Kofi's being, he's the first African American, excuse me, not African American, he's the first African WWE champion. And Lars described him as they look like they could be in a prison black game. So here it is, a guy 10 years ago making these posts on bodybuilding.com and basically putting it out there that he has questionable thoughts and feelings about people in minority spaces. And this came back to light because and it was well known because I remember it coming up the first time last year, and no one really kind of talked about it. I saw people tweeting about it. I saw people mentioning it every time Lars got any type of push or any type of on screen time. I never really paid any attention to it then. But what brought it back out this year and in the recent weeks is that someone posted a Twitter chat to Biggie, and with Biggie being out and his Twitter game being on point lately, he responded that people are well aware of Lars Sullivan and who he is. So this is not something new. This is not a new situation that we see within pro wrestling, and not something that we've seen plenty of times, specifically within the WWE. But as always, when these matters come out, Sullivan released a statement that said, there is no excuse for any inappropriate remarks that I made years ago. They do not reflect my personal beliefs nor who I am today, and I apologize to anyone I offended. I always laugh at those types of responses because those are more like, I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm sorry because I got caught. And we know good and well that it's not that easy to just change your personal beliefs, especially if they're that hateful in nature. So it was 10 years ago, yeah, but I wonder what has he done over those 10 years to change his personal beliefs, but he went out of his way to make them public at that time. But what was kind of caught everyone off guard was that, let me just get, what really caught everybody off guard this week is that WWE fined him $100,000. And when I saw that, I had a lot of different questions about that because first and foremost, I would be surprised if Lars is making that much money. He's only been on the main roster for what, 4 months, and that is if you include I think he was initially announced as a call up in December, and then he had his anxiety attack, which kept him off of air for months. So I would say he's probably only been on TV since what, March or February. So I don't believe he's already making 100K, making six figures to meet this fine. And the WWE also announced that they're going to send him to some forms of sensitivity training, which I don't know what that looks like, and that could be anything. But the fact that they took a step to acknowledge this situation really stands out to a lot of people because it's the first time. It's the first time something like this has happened, and they've actually taken a stance to denounce one of their talents. I mean, they just brought Hulk Hogan back before WrestleMania because everyone was well aware that of what he said and what he's done in recent years, and people still don't want him back around the organization that they brought him back and tied him out there in front of the public, just because he's Hulk Hogan. But to see them take this stance with Lars is really telling. I don't think that it means much to me personally, but I wrote earlier last week that we were wasting our time expecting them to do something about the situation. But in fact, I guess they They did. They made us. They drew a line in the sand, and they fired him for that matter. But that's not the end of the story, because now I have further questions. The first one is are they legally able to fine an employee for something that he did before he was employed by the company? And what he did do, while it was stupid and disgusting and hateful down to the core, wasn't necessarily a crime. It's not a crime. He said what he said, but there's nothing illegal about him making those type of hateful posts. So there's that question that I have. The second question is, can the WWE fine independent contractors since they're not actual employees? We know that they can fine them and punish them for like failed drug tests. We've seen individuals like Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, and others have issues with their wellness policy. But this is the first time we've seen something like this happen. I remember we saw a situation with Titus O'Neil getting suspended when he grabbed Vince McMahon. I think that was last year or the year before. And that kind of flew under the radar. But this situation here, I wonder if the WWE can actually find someone who is not an actual employee. And that kind of brings me to the third point that I have, because I wonder if he's actually going to, how are they going to get him to pay that $100,000 royalty back? Is it going to be an installment? Is it a lump sum? If there is a lump sum that they're charging him now, I would not expect him to be able to pay that all up front. Like I said, he's only been on the main roster for a few months. And I find it difficult to believe that he can already hit that six-figure number and just write them up, cut them a check. So what are they going to do to actually make sure that that process is complete? And again, I wonder what those sensitivity trainings are like. Who will they be with? What groups are he being with? What steps are they really taking? But those are the questions that really jumped out to me, because I was, like I said, I was surprised that they took any type of stance to respond to what was going on with that. But and I don't know if I could sit back and say, this is a good thing, because it creates a slippery slope. Do I think that they should have done something? Yes, but I wonder what's next, because we've seen people get get fired for much less. I mean, we joke about Brad Maddox calling people pricks during a house show and getting fired. So it's you've heard ridiculous stories. I mean, Pat McAfee got reamed out by Michael Cole for wearing suit shorts, or yes, a suit with shorts, whatever, like LeBron James did. So we saw him get reamed out for that. So you wonder if this is going to cause a situation where WWE has to have a heavier hand when anyone steps out of line and does something that they don't necessarily agree with. And as I mentioned, this stance and then this action really kind of stands out to me, because right now, for example, they're getting hammered. They being a WWE, they're getting hammered for their partnership with Saudi Arabia, and it's clear that they want to continue going with that. I think they just announced another show in June or July that's going to be headlined by Goldberg and Undertaker. I mean, I won't be watching, but that partnership has continued to cost the organization. Yes, they do have that deal with the Crown Prince, where I think they get about 45 to 50 million, something like that, each show that they do. So it's definitely lucrative for them. But you wonder what the long term impact of that will be as people continuously denounce them for that partnership. It seems like they are willing and ready to kind of turn a blind eye to that for some type of they're willing to turn a blind eye to that to continue to make the money that comes with such a deal. And what else did I want to say about this? Even though it shocked me that they responded and that they made a stance and punished Sullivan for the situation. You know, the WWE has a long sort of history of struggling with minority and women roster, like the individuals that are minorities and women on the roster. It's just a fact. They continue to struggle with anyone who doesn't fit within the mainstream mold. In my opinion, yeah, they're doing great things with Kofi right now, but that's a exception more than the rule. Let's see how they continue to work on that and continue to build themselves in that area. But they've been under scrutiny for their lack of in inclusion from a diversity standpoint for a very long time. So you wonder if this is them recognizing that they have a problem and finally kind of taking a step to make that situation right. Um, it's funny because on Tuesday, I think Sullivan was on a brief segment with Kayla Becker or Kayla Braxton, whatever they call her, and it was funny because whole Corey Graves has said that she looks nervous to be around him. I'm like, well, she's a black woman, she should be nervous to be around him. But it was kind of like a Freudian slip there. But I wonder if this is going to impede any of Sullivan's push. I don't think so. I think he's at a point in the roster where he's not a main event draw, so they can keep him out of action. They can keep him out of the limelight for a month or so until it blows over. Keep him out of any main storylines or anything that's really kind of prominent. I think in a month from now we won't be talking about this, and it'll be kind of like a mention that's thrown out there whenever Sullivan's brought up and when he's pushed, but it's not going to impede his rise in any way, shape, or form. Do I think that it was a good move for WWE to respond? Yes. Do I think that it creates a slippery slope? I believe so. Will it have any long-term damage to his career or his place in the roster right now? I don't think so at all. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I wanted to also tonight segue into a new segment that I plan on doing going forward, and that's just kind of like wrestling to watch, something to catch over the week. And this week, it already kind of went down. I can't remember if this match was on Monday or if it was on Tuesday, but it was just in the early morning. I can't really remember. I watched it last night, but the best of the Super Juniors tournament is going, and we know that that's some of the best wrestling that comes out year after year. And Dragon Lee and Ishimori already got that trend started because they had a fantastic match earlier this week. I took some notes. What are my notes on this? So I sat down and watched it. Probably going to watch it again. I heard that the Ishimori and Marty Scurll match was already great, um, but I'm not the biggest fan of Marty Scurll. But definitely neither here nor there. That's another conversation for another day. But I watched this match last night, or yes, I watched it last night, and the thing that jumped out the page to me first and foremost is that Ishimori is ripped. The dude's 36 years old, and if I didn't know any better, he looks like he's 26. But he is a fucking beast out there, and him and Dragon Lee put on a hell of a match. And what they did that was really different to me is yes, this is a best of the Super Juniors match, so obviously it's two smaller guys, roughly 175 pounds. I think Ishimori's 175. I think Dragon Lee's Ishimori's 165. Dragon's 170. But they instead of going high octane for 20 minutes, running all around the ring and doing high spots left and right, they kept it much slower pace. They picked up the pacing at key points, and we'll talk about some of those. But overall, it was much slower pacing that felt like something of a main event that would include bigger names. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it was a good change. It was a good little mix up from what we usually see, and I really enjoyed that. I think it was a different look for the Super Juniors, and it made those high spots much. It made me anticipate those high spots, look forward to them much more because you know that they were coming. You know that they were coming at some point in time. Um, Let me see. The best spots I've watched from that match. There's a segment towards the end where they Ishimori eats two German suplexes from Dragon Lee, but the second one he reverses into a Canadian destroyer, which is then reversed into a spike DDT. That sequence is fantastic. If someone can make a gif of that, so I can share it, I would love to. The Death Valley driver into the corner looked scary as hell because the way that they fell, and I wonder if that's because they were tired at that point in time. It was definitely toward the end, and Ishimori got the clean win with the bloody cross, and this is about a week or two after Lee beat him for the junior title. So it'll be interesting to see how those two continue to feud each other, and if that title ends up back on Ishimori. I believe he does beat Mario Scurll today. I think I saw that on Instagram, but it was still supposed to be a great match. I want to go back and watch it, regardless of how I feel about Marty. But if you have the time and if you have a New Japan World online account, so go check it out. Only $10 a month, or well, 9.99, but whatever. Go check it out because that match is worth the 9.99 fee for this month by itself. And you have a lot of great wrestling left to catch. And you can always go through the archive and watch everything from Wrestle Kingdom to all their other events. So it's definitely worth the money. And this match is something that you should watch from this week. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and close out this week's show. It's late. I'm tired. I just got back from the gym, but I wanted to make sure I hopped online and did a little bit of chatting about the situation going on with Lars. So yeah, as always, you can find me at rgarcia_sports, and you can catch my content there. You can catch me at MMAratings.net, at Fansided, where I do my MMA work, and Daily DDT, where I do my professional wrestling coverage. Please subscribe to the MMA Ratings YouTube channel to keep up with all that we're putting out here. And as always, like to share this content, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me either live or listen to me on demand when you have a chance to sit down. Either way, you got no be a hump day. Have a good rest of the week and enjoy some professional wrestling. Good night, everyone.